Welcome everyone to a conversation that I think touches on something really deep within us. You know, for centuries, people have grappled with ancient stories, especially those from Scripture, and they get hung up on this one question: did it really happen?
Yeah, that's the big one, isn't it? It feels like we're always being forced to choose a side. Either you believe it literally, or you dismiss it entirely. There's not a lot of room for nuance in that discussion, which is a shame.
Exactly. And I think that binary thinking, while seemingly straightforward, actually misses the bigger, more profound question. Instead of did it happen, maybe we should be asking, why do these stories keep happening in us? What is it about them that continues to resonate, to challenge, to inspire across generations?
That's it, Jane. It shifts the focus from external historical verification to internal, personal transformation. And honestly, that's where I think the real power lies. The truth of Scripture or any profound story isn't just trapped in stone tablets or ancient timelines, it's alive in the choices we make today, the way we live our lives.
I mean, think about it. If the only value of a story is its literal historical accuracy, then a lot of what we consider foundational literature, even fables or parables, would just lose all their meaning. But they don't. We still tell stories like The Boy Who Cried Wolf or The Tortoise and the Hare, not because we think they're historical documents, but because of the truth they convey.
Right, the moral truth, the psychological truth, the spiritual truth, these are often far more impactful and enduring than a mere factual retelling. It's about wisdom, about understanding the human condition, about our place in the world.
And that's where I get excited, because it opens up space for faith, science, and storytelling to actually shake hands instead of constantly being at war. For so long, it's felt like these three pillars of human understanding are perpetually fighting for dominance.
Absolutely. It's like we've been taught that if you embrace one, you have to reject the others. If you're a person of faith, you must be suspicious of science. If you're scientifically minded, then faith is just superstition. And story, well, that's just for kids, right?
And that's a false dilemma, a really unproductive one, because when you look closely, they're actually all trying to answer big questions about existence, about meaning, about how we navigate the world. They just use different languages, different methodologies.
So let's dive into that a bit. When we talk about holding truth and mystery together, what does that practically mean for someone grappling with, say, a biblical narrative that seems to contradict modern scientific understanding, like the creation accounts in Genesis, for example?
That's a classic example, isn't it? For many, if Genesis 1 isn't a literal day-by-day scientific account of creation, then the entire foundation of faith crumbles. But what if it was never meant to be a science textbook? What if its truth is operating on a completely different level?
Precisely. The ancient Hebrews weren't writing an empirical scientific treatise. They were writing a theological poem, a profound statement about who God is, what humanity's place is, and the inherent goodness of creation. Its truth isn't in detailing the mechanics of the Big Bang, it's in declaring that creation is ordered, purposeful, and brought forth by a loving, divine being.
And that's a truth that science, with all its incredible discoveries, can't really speak to. Science tells us how the universe largely functions, what its constituent parts are, the processes involved. But it doesn't really tell us why it's here, or who we are in relation to it, or what our ultimate purpose might be. That's the domain of philosophy, faith, and yes, story.
It reminds me of that famous quote, something like, "Science can take apart a clock and tell you how it works, but it can't tell you what time it is or if it's worth winding." Story and faith provide that context, that meaning, that why.
And the mystery aspect is crucial here. We don't have all the answers, and frankly, we probably never will. Science is constantly evolving, discovering new things, challenging old paradigms. Faith, too, is often about stepping into the unknown, trusting beyond what we can empirically verify. To insist on having every single detail tied up neatly in a bow diminishes both.
It's almost like our modern minds, obsessed with data and empirical proof, struggle with the idea that something can be true without being verifiable in a laboratory. But human experience is full of truths that aren't provable in that way. Love, beauty, grief, courage. These are undeniably true experiences, but you can't measure them with a ruler.
Right. Try to put love under a microscope. You'll see hormones, neural activity, but you won't see love itself. Love is a deeper, experiential truth, and it's often best conveyed through story, through poetry, through shared experience.
And that brings us back to the idea of truth being alive in our choices. When we encounter stories, especially those that have stood the test of time, they offer us frameworks for understanding our own lives. They present archetypes, ethical dilemmas, triumphs, and failures that mirror our own.
Like the story of David and Goliath, whether you believe every rock throw, every battle detail, the truth of an underdog facing an overwhelming foe, using wit and faith rather than brute force, resonates universally. We see ourselves in David when we face our own Goliaths, whether it's a difficult project at work, a challenging relationship, or a personal struggle.
Exactly. And that story, regardless of its historicity, provides a template for courage, for reliance on something greater than oneself, for challenging the status quo. It happens in us every time someone is inspired to stand up to an impossible challenge.
Or think about the parables of Jesus. Nobody, I think, seriously believes that the Good Samaritan was a real individual who lived at a specific address and stopped on a specific road on a specific date. But the truth of that parable about radical compassion and defying social prejudice is absolutely revolutionary and deeply true, impacting millions of lives.
So how do we cultivate this ability to hold truth and mystery together? Because it feels like our society pushes us towards certainty, towards black and white answers. It's uncomfortable to live in the gray areas.
It is uncomfortable, and I think part of it is embracing intellectual humility, recognizing that human understanding is always finite, always evolving. Science doesn't claim to have all the answers, it's constantly asking new questions. Faith, too, is often a journey of wrestling with doubt and mystery, not just a static set of beliefs.
And to appreciate the different forms of truth. A poem has truth, a scientific paper has truth, a historical document has truth, a religious text has truth. But they're all expressing truth in different ways, serving different purposes. It's like comparing a blueprint to a painting. Both are true representations, but they convey entirely different aspects of reality.
That's a beautiful analogy, Jane. So, when we talk about faith, science, and story shaking hands, it's not about forcing them into a single, unified theory that explains everything. It's about respecting their distinct contributions and understanding how they complement each other in building a more complete picture of reality.
Exactly. Science can illuminate the incredible complexity and beauty of the natural world, which for many people of faith only deepens their sense of wonder and awe at creation. And faith can provide a moral compass, a sense of meaning and purpose that science, by its very nature, isn't designed to provide.
And story, then, is the ancient language that translates these complex ideas into human experience. It's how we transmit wisdom, build community, and grapple with the big questions in a way that resonates emotionally and spiritually, not just intellectually.
So, instead of arguing about whether a talking snake literally happened, we can ask, what does this ancient story about temptation, disobedience, and consequences teach us about human nature and our relationship with the divine? How does it happen in us when we face our own moments of choosing between immediate gratification and deeper wisdom?
It liberates us from the confines of a narrow interpretation. It allows us to engage with these powerful narratives not as historical curiosities to be fact-checked, but as living wells of wisdom that continue to speak to our deepest needs and questions.
And it fosters a richer, more robust faith, one that isn't threatened by scientific discovery but is instead invigorated by it. A faith that can embrace the profound mysteries of existence without needing to reduce everything to simplistic answers.
I think that's the key takeaway for me. Moving beyond the false dichotomy. It's not about abandoning historical inquiry or scientific rigor, but about expanding our understanding of what truth truly encompasses. It's about recognizing the validity of different modes of knowing and finding the harmony between them.
And embracing the beautiful tension that comes with it. There's a certain magic in not having all the answers, in living with an open hand, ready to discover new truths while still holding on to the enduring wisdom of the past.
So the next time you encounter a story that challenges your preconceived notions, whether it's from an ancient text or a new scientific discovery, instead of rushing to judge its literal accuracy, pause and ask, what truth is this trying to convey, and how might it be happening in me right now?
That's a fantastic way to end this, Jane. It's an invitation to a deeper, more enriching engagement with the world around us. Thank you, James and Jane, for this incredibly insightful conversation.
My pleasure, Nash. Always a pleasure to explore these big ideas.
Thank you both, and to our listeners, we hope this gives you a new lens through which to view truth, mystery, faith, science, and the power of story. Until next time.